Thank you very much for joining us for the midday news. My name is Marco Kwakozi. First, we take a look at the stories making the headlines. Police are accused of incompetence as PF presidential hopeful reports officers. Chinese investor compelled to adhere to safety measures. In international news, France pledges financial support to Tunisia in a bid to curb irregular migration. And in sports news, Copper Queens defender hails a Germany camp. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Thank you very much, and now the news in detail. First Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, has called on Parliament to lead the way in influencing the transformation of constituencies through planting trees. Speaking at Kankata Day Secondary School Monday, where she flagged off a tree planting exercise, Ms. Chisangano says Parliament aims at planting 1,000 trees in all the 156 constituencies of the country as one way of fighting climate change. Meanwhile, Chieftainess Mwenda has called for more sensitization on the dangers of tree cutting. Here's a report.
With the effects of climate change being more pronounced in Zambia through flash floods, droughts, and displacement of families, the National Assembly of Zambia says no one should be left behind in tree planting as climate change cuts across all sectors. Speaking at Chikankata Day Secondary School, where she led the way in tree planting Monday, First Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, says the National Assembly is in this vein aiming at planting 1,000 trees each in all 156 constituencies of the country. She notes that the country has continued to be deforested, losing about 270,000 forest cover annually.
The drive to have greener societies is not peculiar to Zambia alone, but the entire world. Therefore, this initiative is also Parliament's contribution to the collective efforts of reversing the adverse effects of climate change within the region and globally. It is therefore my desire that all members of Parliament countrywide will spearhead the planting of trees in their respective constituencies. Further, I would like to call upon all the people of Zambia at large to take this initiative and plant trees.
On hand to receive her was Chikankata Member of Parliament Jacqueline Savao, who has challenged those schools to plant trees.
Trees play a role in mitigating the impact of climate change. The planting of these trees is very important as it contributes to the health of our lives. We need to preserve trees because they play a critical role in our lives. Trees are vital in providing the much needed oxygen for human life. Agriculture also depends on the availability of a green environment, which should be guided jealously.
Her Royal Highness Chieftainess Mwenda has also called for sensitization on climate change and tree planting.
Mutulegelele forestry bamutuwa bula buya nokuba uthi nengphuni mbobuponi mbobumi tulabelega andinwe.
Pupils at the school expressed gratitude on being taught about the importance of tree planting. Zipporah Mshala reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some residents of Lusaka's Mutendere area of Munali constituency have called on the government to initiate a cleanup of bars and nightclubs near Mahatma Gandhi Combined School. The residents tell Camnet News that the proximity of the bars to the school is disturbing them, and in some cases pupils engage in illicit activities. Meanwhile, Area Councillor Boniface Chibeka says the illicit alcohol stores operating near the school are home-based stores and will face the wrath of the law.
While schools are meant to be safe places for acquiring skills and knowledge, the case is different for pupils at Mahatma Gandhi Combined School in Lusaka's Mutendere Township in Munali constituency. The resident, who spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of being intimidated, say bars and nightclubs are a menace to the concentration of pupils. They explained that the existence of bars and nightclubs near the school premises is leading pupils into illicit beer drinking. They are calling on government to consider finding a lasting solution to the bars and nightclubs operating near the school.
Issue ya mababa pa school siri kunozona kozi wafana nango eneso amvera machoka pano kwenda mu hukumu ku mababa. So this government maninga ganizrepo or maybe my teachers mananga tinga carrying weight maybe ndangaendeka ni ku Ministry of Education complain nakuja timabaya at disturb school ndipintinga kamba otherwise my powers yenyewe tiribe kuti tinga pacho sabo
magandi vazona mabaya pafupi na school vana sako nkoloka iyai so musepo chimozi wa government
mabaya pafupi na school wakamboza bilimba ana schools now class nishtalira kai concentration iraga kuvela bonsa teacher mbombera pale wala bachuka ku mabazi ku mawinda yalipanja hapa bana anga disturbed kai ina ngo baka kolewa mbosha uta bambopundira pa mawindo so sebuoneka bwana na mwana sanga se concentrate bwana mkali.
But area councillor Boniface Chibeka says the bars and nightclub owners are defying the law and is confident that a lasting solution will be found.
So those home shops are supposed to be closed, and if they have licenses, are supposed to be revoked. Then talking about a bar, the only bars I know there, I think there are about 3 bars. There's the Katumba, then we also have Lofa Bar and Maisen. Those bars have been there for a very long time. The only thing they need to do, or we need to ensure, is adherence to what the certificate, liquor certificate is talking about. That is no underage drinking and also opening and closing at a right time. That is what I would think is the...
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
A Chinese-owned company in 6 Miles area under Kantua constituency has been compelled to implement safety measures to safeguard the community from dust following the Zambia Environmental Management ZEMA's directive to do so. Speaking to Camnet News Monday, Baigu Premix Concrete Company Limited Managing Director Liu Junhua says the company has put up water sprinklers on the wall fence as a measure to help the dust to settle. However, a community representative under Chunga Ward, Ezron Kabwela, says the community will only be satisfied when they build a warehouse where they will conduct their activities from. Here's a report.
Residents of Chunga Ward in 6 Miles area of Katuba constituency recently rose up against a Chinese-owned company which they demanded closure of, stating that it was not following environmental protection laws. The residents accused Baigu Premix Concrete Company of releasing thick cement dust into the community, hence putting them in danger of respiratory illnesses. Also among their concerns was the wall fence which they said collapsed occasionally, while further accusing the company of releasing flood water into the community during the rain season. The Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA gave a directive for the company to halt operations until measures to protect the community are put in place. Monday, company managing director Liu Junhua told Camnet News that the company has begun putting up measures, among them water sprinklers on the wall fence to help the dust settle, while also putting up nets on the wall fence to trap the dust.
So they listened to you know what the community was complaining about. And then at the moment, they stopped production. Yeah, they're not doing any activities at the moment because they want to eradicate this same problem, where there's dust which is going overboard and affecting the community. So what they're doing, as you can see on the outside, we've started, have you seen those pipes that have been erected? That's water that's been sprayed on the inside to avoid dust going on the outside. So we are apparently doing that.
Some community members are, however, unhappy with the measures, expressing doubt that they will yield any fruit.
Wamange steel structure. Chinyumba chili covered. Then chinkana pipe so that the dust izinyonkewa izienda mumwamba maningi. Not what if you pangira baso. It won't help anything.
We hear these machines working. So we don't know what agreement they have with them. Clearly because they're not complying. You see? Even this what they're putting up, I don't think it's a solution. And if they want to put up a warehouse to be storing dirt, let them do it from the other side. There is too much land inside here. They can utilize the other side, not where people are living. So if they want to sit down with us, as we are willing, we can gather ourselves, let them come. We also give them our suggestions or opinions.
But if a suggestion here is but in fact this is the movement. So I'm assuming our pasalanti kwinango kwa mno kwa bantu. Vaikukisa vaikakuri bebantu.
It now remains for Zema to inspect the measures put in place once complete and determine whether the company should resume operations. Zipporah Mshala reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Opposition Patriotic Front PF Vice Chairperson for Information and Publicity, Emmanuel Mwamba, has filed a complaint at Lusaka's Woodlands Police Station alleging brutality in the manner he was arrested on Wednesday, the 14th of June, 2023 by police officers. Mr. Mwamba alleges that during the police operation to arrest him, he suffered a broken tooth, a bruise on his shoulders and some neck pains resulting from the alleged assault by police officers. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga confirmed receiving the complaint later. Meanwhile, civil rights activist Bren Batangala alleges that the police is incompetent and that all arrests of political opponents are meant to intimidate them. Here's a report.
While those in authority call it the rule of law, government critics call it political witch hunt, and that is the discourse around Zambian politics. On Wednesday, 14th June 2023, police officers allegedly arrested Opposition Patriotic Front Vice Chairperson for Information and Publicity, Emmanuel Mwamba, at Lusaka's Emersdale Police Station, who was later transferred to Woodlands Police Station. While it is a job well done by the law enforcers, Emmanuel Mwamba has filed a complaint against 3 officers alleging that they assaulted him when effecting an arrest on him at Jamie's Car Wash on Mosotunya Road in Woodlands. While addressing the media yesterday, the former ambassador alleged that his rights were violated.
I hope that the police can investigate. I have medical reports here to confirm what was done to me, and you members of the press, I can show you. Tomorrow in the morning, I'm going to the Police and Public Complaints Commission for the unprofessional and brutal manner I was arrested. I'm not above the law. I can be summoned, I can comply. But I think it is wrong for the police to brutally treat citizens in the manner they treated me. To manufacture charges. You heard that a police officer who brutally beat me, knocked out my tooth, he was the first one to report a case of assault. This is cover-up. That's fraud. He should be arrested for fraud.
Meanwhile, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga confirmed receiving the complaint.
Woodlands Police Station on the 18th of June around 11 hours received a report from Mayor Emmanuel Mwamba. He was released on police bond on 16th of June 2023. Later on, to have come to Woodlands Police Station on 18th June 2023 around 11 hours with a police medical form allegedly to have been issued to him from University Teaching Hospital Police Post, which form he did not avail to the police as by law established, claiming that he needed to make copies of it. We are waiting for him to bring back the police medical form as by law required to further.
But civil rights activist Brebna Changala says all arrests of political opponents are well calculated and meant to ill-treat the opposition.
Why is it that only the opposition are always guilty, or only the opposition must be suspects, and the ruling party starts floating in glory? It is because of political interference. We have a police force that is highly politicized, a police force that is ill-trained, incompetent, a police force that...
Meanwhile, UPND spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa says politicians should not play with the law as it is blind.
I have not seen my brother Emmanuel Mwamba, and I'll give him a call. So I can't comment on that, but if the police brutalized him, then the police are at fault. Because in Zambia, corporal punishment has been outlawed. No one is supposed to be brutalized by police. Probably because PF radicalized and weaponized police against its own citizens. That is why we still have remnants of some few isolated pockets of police brutality or indiscipline. So it's not our fault. We do not arrest anyone as a party in government. We don't. It's police.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Lusaka High Court has ruled that the bench warrant that was issued against the Kawambwa Central Member of Parliament, Nixon Chilangwa, by the Kawambwa Magistrate Court remains in force until executed or cancelled as per provisions of Section 102, Cap 3 of the Criminal Procedure. This is in a matter in which Mr. Chilangwa sued the state in the High Court challenging Kawambwa Magistrate Martin Namushi's decision to issue a warrant of arrest against him. Further, the High Court ruled that the trial before the lower court must proceed as it cannot be stayed by it pending the determination of the petition. Mr. Chilangwa, who is also Patriotic Front Secretary General, was issued with a bench warrant last week by the subordinate court for absconding 3 court sessions.
Opposition Patriotic Front Deputy Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa faces arrest following the Lusaka High Court ruling that the bench warrant that was issued against him by the Kawambwa Magistrate Court remains in force until executed or cancelled as per the provision of Section 1023 of the CP. On the 30th of May 2023, Mr. Chilangwa, who was unsatisfied that the lower court issued a bench warrant against him for absconding 3 court sessions, had rushed to the Lusaka High Court challenging Kawambwa Magistrate Martin Namushi's decision to issue a warrant of arrest against him. Mr. Chilangwa was seeking a declaration that the said decision violates his right to a fair trial in the matter. He had cited the Attorney General as the respondent and also wanted a declaration that the action of the subordinate court magistrate go against the rule of justice, among other claims. However, in the latest ruling delivered by the High Court, trial before the lower court will proceed as it cannot be stayed by the High Court pending determination of the petition. The court has further established that the petitioner's application for an order to stay the warrant of arrest issued by the subordinate court on the 24th of May 2023 has failed and has been dismissed with cost. In the matter that is before the Kawambwa Magistrate Court, Mr. Chilangwa is jointly charged with Pambeshi Area Member of Parliament Ronald Chitotela, Kawambwa Mayor Chifumbi Kalumba, Kunda Chitotela, Chabu Chitotela, David Kanike and Charity Chiwe, with 1 count of arson, threatening violence, malicious damage to property and 4 counts of assault. It is alleged that on August 12, 2021, the 2 lawmakers and 5 others, while acting together, assaulted 4 UPND members, damaged their motor vehicle, which was valued at a cost of 400,000 kwacha, before allegedly setting it ablaze and further threatened violence. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Lawyers representing former Kabushi Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo and his wife in the corruption-related charge have submitted before the Economic and Financial Crimes Court that they are not prophets nor possess superpowers to know that one of the accused will fall sick. This submission came after the Anti-Corruption Commission told the Lusaka magistrate Fides Hamaundu that Nancy Manasseh ought to have communicated earlier that she was sick and on 14 days bed rest. This is in a matter in which Mr. Lusambo is jointly charged with his wife Manasseh and are facing 10 different corrupt-related charges, among them corrupt acquiring a public property, being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, tax evasion and conspiracy to defraud. More in the following reports.
The Lusaka's magistrate under the Specialized Economic and Financial Crimes Court has adjourned the case in which former Kabushi area Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo is jointly charged with his wife in a corruption-related case. The court's decision to move the case to August 2023 is meant to allow Mr. Lusambo's wife Nancy Manasseh recover from an illness. In this case, the state accuses the couple of 10 different corruption-related charges, among them corruptly acquiring a public property, being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, conspiracy to defraud. Earlier, when the matter was called before Magistrate Fides Amaundu, the accused defense lawyer James Tembo applied for an adjournment on the basis that the second accused person, Nancy Manasseh, is unwell and on a 2 weeks bed rest. This application, however, did not sit well with Daniel Ngwira, a senior prosecutor from the Anti-Corruption Commission, who told the court that the accused ought to have communicated earlier that she was sick and on a 14 days bed rest, arguing that justice should be applied on both the state and the accused, and as such, there need to be early communication to avoid unnecessary expense on the state, stating that they are the witness who traveled all the way from the Copper Belt. In responding to the state's concern, Mr. Tembo submitted that he was not a prophet nor possessed superpowers to know that one of his clients was to get sick. In this matter, Mr. Lusambo is facing all the 10 corruption charges, while his wife Nancy Manasseh is slapped with only 4 counts. The matter comes up on the 3rd and 4th of August for continuation of trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
On that note, we take a short break, but when we come back, we have more in international sports news. Don't go away.
The FARS 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwinelubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. In international news, French Interior Minister Gerard Damanin announced 25.8 million euros in a bid to buy Tunisia border policing equipment and train border guards.
European officials are promising Tunisia ever-growing amounts of funds to try to prevent migrants from reaching Europe's shores. Monday's visit by the French and German interior ministers was the third high-level European visit to Tunisia in 2 weeks. France's Darmanin announced a budget to train Tunisian border guards and equip them. The immediate financial package of 100 million euros to combat irregular migration, as announced by the European Commission, will open up significant additional possibilities. Moreover, at the request of the President of the French Republic, I have come to announce the bilateral aid provided by France and Germany. France's contribution will stand at 25.8 million euros. Tunisia's president told the officials that his country does not want to be Europe's border guard or a land of resettlement for rejected migrants. We are sensitive to the idea that Tunisia should not be EU's border guard. It's not its vocation. On the other hand, we must work to ensure that in the countries of departure there can be a minimum number of departures. Many people come here from the sub-Saharan part of the continent. I believe that France has privileged diplomatic relations with these countries, which contribute, as Tunisia has requested, to avert these irregular flows. Tunisian authorities say they intercept thousands of people every month trying to live in boats off the coastal city of Sfax to reach Europe.
And now in sports news, the Zambia Handball Association has declared the team ready for the forthcoming beach games to be held in Tunisia. Association President Victor Bwalya says this is the first time that the team is participating in beach games, but is optimistic that they will perform well. Mr. Banda says the team has put up a lot in training, adding that they recently came back from South Africa where they had a training camp. He says the team will leave for Tunisia today is in high spirits. And one of the players, Chikataizia Banda, says the players have been motivated by the government's move to increase the winning bonus to 5,000 United States dollars.
We are here doing the final preparation of our senior men beach team, which will be competing in the 3rd African Beach Games to be held in Tunisia, starting on the 23rd to the 24th of June. I think so far so good. The team has been training. They were out in South Africa for beach training. They came back and now we are just doing the final training, and they will be leaving Zambia on Tuesday.
The team is high morale, highly motivated. With that, the Honorable Minister Elvis Nkandu had announced a few days ago saying the winning bonus has been raised to 5,000 US dollars. So I'm sure we'll perform wonders in Tunisia. We are surely highly motivated and we're going to win.
The Zambia national women's football team defender Margaret Belemu says the camp in Germany is helping the team to adequately prepare for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup starting on July 20th. Football Association of Zambia FAR's media team reports that Copper Queens coach Bruce Mwape also expressed happiness at the team's improvement. He says the involvement of a technical advisor, Lisa Ko, in the camping program has been instrumental.
Well, the camp is going quite well. The weather is okay. It's not that bad. It's not hot. It's not cold. And everyone is pushing in during the training sessions. Yeah, we're working. We're having some sessions as defenders on how to make good lines, the balancing, and the good communication at the back. And it's going quite well. We played against Tanzania and we spotted out our mistake at the back, though we never had a lot of pressure, but still we cannot be relaxed to say since they were not attacking us. So yeah, it's important like defenders to coordinate well at the back. Yeah, we're very excited as a team knowing that we're playing a good team than us. Ireland is well ranked than us. So I feel it's going to prepare us well for the upcoming games that we were having. We'll be playing Switzerland after Ireland, then Germany. Then at least I feel it will prepare us well for the World Cup and for the friendlies that are coming. At least I have experience on how it will be, because it's not very easy like playing at the World Cup. The games, they are very tough and supporters come in numbers. Yeah, so I feel at least I have experience from the 2014 World Cup. I think I'll bring in the experience that I have to the supporters. I want to say thank you that they should continue supporting us.
I think so far so good. The players are doing everything possible to make sure that the training is going well. And at the moment, we are just preparing for a friendly game against Ireland, which will be on the 22nd or 23rd of this month. So everything is okay. We have done tactics, techniques, and we are now doing today we have just been doing our physical fitness, and everything every player did well, and we are. All I can say is that okay, even coordination now, there is an improvement. If you look at the way we played against Tanzania this time around, things have changed. There is a lot of improvement, and the coordination I can say is okay.
That's it we had for the news at 12, but before we go, another look at the stories that made the headlines. Police accused of incompetence as PF presidential hopeful reports officers. Chinese investor compelled to adhere to safety measures. In international news, France pledges financial support to Tunisia in a bid to curb irregular migration. And in sports news, Copper Queens defender hails Germany camp. And now, before we go on, we'll take a look at the Camnet verse of the day, which comes from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 18. And it says, "Do not take revenge or bear a grudge against members of your community, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahweh." That's it. That's all we had for the news. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin at exactly 19:30 this evening. On behalf of the entire production team, have a blessed day.
your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel. For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Now, yesterday we did promise you that we are going to be back today with another exciting edition of the Lunchtime Cafe. And here we are, God willing, by God's grace, we are back and we are giving you nothing but what is happening around us and, of course, across the borders as regards current affairs. This is the Lunchtime Cafe and my name is Marco Kwakozi. Patrick Soko will be joining us shortly also to give us his expert analysis on some of the stories that we are looking at today. Now remember that this is an interactive program and we'll be giving you some contact details of which you can use to get in touch with us. You can get in touch with us on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV. Go to that particular page, like it, share it also, and then go to this particular broadcast because it is live on Facebook. Go to the comment section and leave your comments there. We'll be more than happy to see what you think about this particular program. We'll also be giving you some numbers which you can call us on, and a number where you can only send your voice notes or your WhatsApp messages only. Those numbers will be provided to you as we go on this particular program. This is the Lunchtime Cafe. As I did indicate earlier, you are catching us live on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and on Topstar we are on channel 106. Also remember that we are streaming live on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. They are all Camnet TV. Those are the handles if you want to follow us on those particular channels. Now, this program, we have three major segments. We do a segment we call the emerging stories. Now, this segment gives us stories that are happening right now and stories that we expect to develop into to move into the menus at 1930, and also we look at some stories that happened some years back on this particular day. Just to refresh our memories, we call that segment the Forgotten Stories segment. And also we have the interview segment where we talk to different political party leaders, different stakeholders in different issues as regards the governance of this particular country. We do also have another segment which we call the viewers reaction. Now on this one, we give you the opportunity to get in touch with us and give us your opinion on what we are looking at on that particular day. Now, let's see if we can get straight into today's emerging stories, and the first one, it says the British High Commissioner to Zambia, Nicholas Woolley, is confident that Zambia will have its debt restructured soon. Zambia has struggled to find a relief deal with creditors to whom it owes an estimated 18.6 billion United States dollars since it became the first African country unable to repay its foreign debts in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. And the British envoy hopes that the debt will be restructured for Zambia to effectively implement the International Monetary Fund (IMF) program.
As it has been for many months now. We are an official creditor to Zambia. We are involved with other official creditors within the committee, and we hope that as soon as possible there can be an agreement on a restructure that will allow Zambia to move forward economically with its important, vital reforms that the government has laid out in its IMF-backed program, and of course to bring in the much-needed investment into the country that will allow for greater economic growth, including to the most vulnerable parts of society, growth that will include new jobs and new livelihoods.
That's one of the stories that we expect to be in our 1930 news tonight. Another one comes from the Local Government Service Commission, where Chairperson Axon Sejani says the Commission will not entertain non-performing local authorities. Addressing a press conference in Lusaka Tuesday, Mr. Sejani says they have since introduced a performance appraisal system in the utilization of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, in the local authorities.
Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has approved one of the biggest agro-processing plants in Kawam
that we can reach out to. One of those offenses is poor supervision. If you are a boss, a principal officer, a town clerk, a council secretary, and you are failing to supervise your staff, you are failing to whip your staff in a manner that enhances performance, you are liable under this. And the disciplinary process can be invoked. So there you are, principal officers. If you fail to whip your troops to perform, this will be invoked on you. Meaning, gone are the days when a town clerk, a council secretary will come to the commission and say, Officer so-and-so is a non-performer, can you please transfer them? You will not find a good reception here. Because where do you want us to take that failure? Who is ready to receive a failure? For the past 1 year, we have been transferring people around. You complain this guy is ineffective. Can you please transfer him from Winirunga, take him to Chipata? Is it in Chipata where they want failures? We have done that for the last 12 or so months. And it cannot continue. So if you are a principal officer, you are failing to whip your troops to perform, this will be invoked. So poor supervision is an offense here. Substandard performance, regardless of who you are, whether you are a boss, an office orderly, a director, substandard performance is an offense in this. And if you don't pull up your socks and perform adequately.
Now, the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has approved one of the biggest agro-processing plants in Kawamba district of Luapula province. The construction of a rice and sunflower cooking oil processing company project was approved at the 8th sitting of the Environmental Assessment Committee, EAC, of the board of the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA. Now, ZEMA Acting Director General Maxwell Nkoya says the construction of the sunflower cooking oil and rice processing project by Agripreneur Foundation Limited will be done at a total cost of over 4 million kwacha.
Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has approved one of the biggest agro-processing plants in Kawamba district of Luapula province. The construction of a rice and sunflower cooking oil processing project was approved at the 80th sitting of the Environmental Assessment Committee of the ZEMA board. The construction of this sunflower as well as rice processing project by Agripreneur Foundation will be done at a total cost of 4.2 million kwacha. This contributes significantly to the country's GDP, which is currently sitting at 10%, and the setting up of this manufacturing project will contribute significantly to the increase in the GDP by the manufacturing and processing sector. We may also want to indicate that environmental impact assessments are approved via the Environmental Assessment Committee of the ZEMA board, and this is done after thorough consultation as well as review of the submitted environmental impact assessment reports in accordance with the Environmental Management Act, as well as the Environmental Impact Assessment Regulations number 28 of 1997.
So those are the stories that we expect to be in our news this evening at 19:30. We have more, of course, of these stories that are coming up at 19:30. We just wanted to give you an idea of what to expect in that particular news bulletin. So that is the section we call the Emerging Stories segment on the Lunch Cafe on Camnet TV. We are now getting into the next segment, and this one we call it the Forgotten Stories segment. But before we do that, let's take a short break. Welcome back. This is now the Forgotten Stories segment, and on this one we give you stories that happened some years back just to refresh our memories and see where we are right now. And now on this day in 2020, Republican Progressive Party Vice President Leslie Chikuse accused the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ chairperson Esau Chulu, rather, of not being able to deliver a credible elections.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ chairperson Esau Chulu has been accused of not being able to deliver free and fair elections in the upcoming 2021 general elections. Republican Progressive Party RPP Vice President Leslie Chikuse says Judge Chulu must excuse himself if credibility has to be restored at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Mr. Chikuse says Judge Chulu has made grave errors in the past elections, which has generally created a perception that he was biased. According to a statement availed to the media, Mr. Chikuse gave examples such as the counting of votes in a non-existent constituency named Chitulika constituency and the failure to announce results on time from the nearest district.
Our view is that Judge Chulu must recuse himself if credibility has to be restored at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. The litany of grave mistakes that were made during the counting of votes in 2016 elections have generally created a perception that he was biased. The counting of votes in a non-existent constituency named Chitulika constituency, the failure to announce results of constituencies that are nearest to the counting center, and also the failure to manage the G12 is enough evidence that there was bias in the 2016 election. Therefore, as Republican Progressive Party, we feel that there is a general perception by the citizenry that the Electoral Commission of Zambia cannot provide for a free and fair election under the leadership of Esau Chulu. To this effect, therefore, we would like to call upon Esau Chulu to recuse himself from the position or the role of chairperson of elections in the 2021 elections, to allow for a person that is independent and that will bring credibility back to the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
RPP therefore advised government to hire judges or experts from countries such as Malawi and Kenya to help Zambia manage the 2021 general elections. Constance Mwemba, reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Now, in 2021, on this day, the then Vice President Inonge Wina visited the funeral house of the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who had died that very year on the 17th of June. Let's have a look at this.
Just upon arrival at the funeral house, Zambia's Vice President Inonge Wina wept, recalling how a true selfless leader Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was. She has described him as a great leader whose death brings back memories of how he fought for the country's freedom.
The old man was strong. He kept this country on its feet. And sorry for breaking down, because his passing brings very strong memories of the past in my life and the life of this nation. When we remember where we have come from, where he brought us, and where we are today.
How honored the Vice President says Zambians must be proud of the man he was and appreciate him as a true leader and a man who lived with Christian values.
As Zambians, but the man who lived by the Christian values he was brought up with, And you could see this reflected in his life and in the government he led. So that gives us real strength to continue honoring him. And to really be proud that this country has produced an international statesman. As you can see from the reactions of many leaders in the world, international organizations, who are sending their messages of condolence. Really, it makes Zambians proud. It makes me hold my head. I only wish the family peace.
Zambians continue to celebrate the life of its first Republican president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who died on the 17th of June 2021 after a short illness. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
And during that same period, teachers across the country also joined in mourning the late leader.
Teachers across Zambia have joined Zambians, the Kaunda family and the international community in mourning one of the greatest sons of Africa in Kenneth Kaunda. The passing on of Kenneth Kaunda has robbed our education sector, a great ally, a friend, who passionately loved quality education. And after rescuing Zambia from the jaws of colonialism, Kenneth Kaunda and his friends embarked on robust reforms, social reforms. As we mourn this great son of the soil, we want to appeal to the current political leadership to emulate him and make sure that a lot of funding goes to education. We need to have quality education given to all citizens as Kaunda wanted. Kaunda wanted all Zambians to access quality education regardless of their political affiliation, regardless of their station in life. And as we mourn him, we will do well as a country to give serious commitments to education so that he can rest in peace.
Now, the new Heritage Party leader Chala Kateka on this day in 2021 called on the media to be fair and balanced in their coverage of news.
The press need to objectively cover stories. I have seen a situation where people, they cover a story, then they add their own comments. I think that you need to be objective. You need to be free to speak the truth because you are the sixth estate, right? But you need to speak the truth, but you need to be fair, cover all parties regardless of your own personal opinion or who you are representing, and allow the public to make an informed view. I think that is the responsibility that the press has. But do not be afraid to do the right thing.
So those are the stories that we had in the Forgotten Stories segment today. Remember that you can give us your thought on the stories that we are looking at today by going to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and then go to this particular broadcast and leave your comments on that particular broadcast, and we'll be more than happy to hear what you think about what we are looking at this beautiful day. You can also call us on the numbers that are on your screens if you want to give us a thought as regards the stories we are looking at, or maybe you want to tell us what is transpiring in your communities. Also remember that we are going to be giving you a number where you can only send your voice notes and WhatsApp messages strictly only on that particular number. So before we get into the next segment, let's take a short break.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
The FARS 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kids show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamanga, as I get to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel. Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel music.
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power
Hallelujah. And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time.
Thank you very much. You are still watching the Lunch Time Cafe on Camnet TV. TV, channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and on Topstar we are on channel 106. We are also live on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and also our YouTube channel, which is also Camnet TV. So those are the platforms you can catch us on, and those are the platforms you can react to, especially on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can go to our page, which is Camnet TV, and go to the comment section and leave your comments there. We'll be glad to have a look at them. This is the viewers' reactions segment, where we give you an opportunity to give your thoughts on the stories that we are looking at this particular afternoon. Now, I have been joined by Patrick Soko just to help analyze some of the stories that we are looking at this beautiful afternoon. Patrick, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Yes, good afternoon, because I was also following the proceedings in the background. Quite interesting stories back in the days that we're looking at in forgotten stories, and also some emerging stories that we are likely to have in our menus at 1930. Interesting enough. So we take a look at the emerging stories. We have a story pertaining to the British High Commissioner to Zambia, Nicholas Woody, who is confident that Zambia will have its data restructured soon. However, this story is emanating from the fact that Zambia has had a protracted data restructuring process, in that creditors haven't been able to come on the table for a long time, and that has tended to affect Zambia's position pertaining to the implementation of the International Monetary Fund IMF bailout package. Now, this is interesting because the debt situation we're talking about started way back, but during the PF it worsened, and this was against the advice by various stakeholders and citizens pertaining to borrowing recklessly. Now that has led us into problems which we are now witnessing as a country. We can also safely say that the UPND, while in opposition, did promise that they were going to work on this data process issue. However, it hasn't been an easy journey, as you can hear from this story. We have been optimistic, and if there's been someone who has been optimistic enough, is the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stombeko Msokotwane, was continuously assured us that they were making sure that this debt is restructured as soon as possible, by making sure that all the the people who owe the debt to are engaged. And Zambia also sought to engage to address this debt situation through the G20 summit, and also which is chaired by China and France, and this process has also dragged, and that has also affected Zambia's debt restructuring process. During the first quarter of 2023, addressed by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, we did hear that the government was doing everything possible to make sure that it implements the provisions of the 2023 national budget in accordance. But however, there was just a little mismatch in terms of the targets. But they assured that fiscal discipline is something that this administration was going to prioritize, and fiscal discipline is also going to be key if Zambia is going to recover from these economic shocks. And that's pertaining to the story where the British High Commissioner was indicating that he is confident and that they are supporting Zambia to ensure that the debt is restructured as soon as possible.
There was another interesting story that we looked at, which came from the local government commission, the local government service commission. And it's talking about having come up with modalities and a performance appraisal system to monitor or to see the utilization of CDF by the local authorities.
Yeah, this is an interesting story, cause in that the local government service commission chairperson Axon Sejani brought up quite a number of issues pertaining to the unveiling of the performance appraisal for local authorities, in that this is going to be a very useful tool towards the implementation of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, because it is very vital to assess whether local authorities are making progress or they are adhering to the recommendations and the guidelines, or what they are expected to do in as far as steering development is concerned. Because if you recall, if you don't have a benchmark of what you want to achieve, because it's obvious that you are not going to achieve anything, or whatever you achieve, you deem it as success, when in fact not. But if you have this appraisal, it tells you to say the benchmark was this, and we have surpassed the target, you'll be able to assess as the local authority. So this is an interesting aspect in terms of governance. It is key, and I think it was long overdue, because it will make councils work. Because you heard him when he was saying that town clerks, these people who are heading local authorities, they will have no excuse for poor delivery. It did point out to a number of examples, like, for example, the Keep Zambia Clean campaign. It has also been called that they Make Zambia Clean and Green campaign. You know, this has been one of the examples that the local authority in Lusaka has been embarking on, and almost every head of state that has come ascended to power has been able to relaunch this program. If you look at Rupia Banda, he did undertake this process. If you look at Mwanawasa, he did undertake this process. If you look at late President Michael Sata, also, he did undertake this program. If we say about former President Edgar Lungu, he did relaunch this same program. The current President, Hakainde Hichilema, did relaunch this program. But what have we achieved? If you go on the ground, I think the situation is just the same, where Lusaka is still among the dirtiest cities in the country and in the region, if not. But it goes to tell you to say, who is supposed to address that issue? One, it is the baby of the Lusaka City Council, but how are they proactively addressing that? So those are the things that the Local Government Service Commission was indicating that it seeks to address in terms of the performance appraisal system. If the local authority is found wanting, those supervisors will be dealt with accordingly, and dismissals were among the recommendations that are part of that same document that was being launched. It's a big story in that they seek to see results from these local authorities, and in that they want to make sure that there is value for money and there is proper utilization of various government resources. So we are looking at a very wide scope there in terms of CDF, because it is a milestone project for Zambia. 28.3 million kwacha is not a joke for every constituency, and this money has to be utilized within the constituency. And we have seen this administration also projecting that they may likely to increase it to about 50 million per constituency, because they are talking about a lot of money, and I think we should be able to see traction even in rural developed rural constituencies, because they are vast and they are underdeveloped. We should be able to see traction. That is, it is also dependent on how we utilize the resources, and I think that's where now the appraisal system for local authorities comes in, cause there. So it's an interesting aspect, but we'll also look at how it is being followed, because one thing we know is that Zambia is good at making pronouncements and making these good provisions, but when it comes to implementation on the ground, it's another story. It's another story we need to address. So we just hope that there will be a change of attitude and approach, and make sure that this service performance appraisal live to the expectation of the people.
So you are on the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV. Now remember that you can participate on this particular program by calling us on the numbers that are on your screens. And also remember that later on the show, we are going to be getting into our main interview of the day, and we are going to be talking to the Deputy and Secretary General from NAREP on that particular segment. But remember, for now, we are looking at the stories and your reactions to these particular stories. Now, one interesting story, that is amazing stories that got my interest really, is the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, approving one of the biggest agro-processing plants in Kawambwa district. Now, this will not only provide employment for the people, for the youths in Kawambwa, but it also provide market for the farmers around that particular area, especially those that are dealing in soybean, sorry, in sunflower, because we are told this for now is a sunflower processing company, and also it will be processing rice.
Exactly. Yeah, you are right to state that, because look, a project of such magnitude, I think, is what Zambia needs more in terms of if we are to revive the local economy. Such a plant, I think, will go a long way in addressing the issue pertaining to unemployment, and also create the market linkages for farmers. So are also going to see in terms of diversification in that locality. We're going to see farmers taking up crops that will be that industry will have to uptake. So it's quite an interesting development there. And talking about the environmental assessment, it means that the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA, has deemed it fit to be able to operate in that locality. In this year, they have taken into account the environmental consequences that may emerge over that project, but we'll also be looking forward because balancing the environmental issues and also steering development is something Zambia has to continuously observe in order to make sure that we sustainably develop. Because if such matters are not attended to, sometimes they may hinder growth, because sometimes you'd find that, for example, if industrialization is not well handled, we have seen cases, for example, where people have been affected negatively because of this industry emitting things that are not good for human consumption or for human beings. So, but ZEMA having done that environmental impact assessment does indicate that they have done their due diligence, but it will also be important to make sure that the firm also complies to the recommendations by ZEMA, and that will be key. And like you already stated it, job creation will be key, and also making sure that we stop exporting our produce in raw form, because that is hindering our productivity as a country. Now with such kind of developments, we are going to see progress.
So apart from providing market and of course providing employment for the youths, this particular company also, I think the price of cooking oil
may reduce.
May reduce in that particular area, considering that the raw materials will be coming from the vicinity, and also the companies there doing all the processes of coming up with cooking oil. I think it will help bring down the cost of cooking oil in that particular. And you know that the soya, what do you call that? Sunflower cake is used for feed for animals. Also, that will help the farmers in that particular locality. So this is the lunch cafe, and we are looking at some of the stories that have been emerging since morning today. So we did talk about the British High Commissioner who expressed confidence that Zambia will soon have its debt restructured, and also we did have a look at a story from the Local Government Commission, who has come up with an appraisal, performance appraisal system for local authorities. And also we did look at the other story where ZEMA has approved one of the biggest agro-processing companies, plants in Kawambwa district of Luapula province. So those are some of the stories that we are looking at this morning, and we did hope that we could get your reactions on these particular stories on the numbers that are on your screens. So if you want to react, you can give us a call on those very numbers. But for now, let's take a quick break, and when you come back, we continue with the program.
that we can reach out to. One of those offenses is poor supervision. If you are a boss, a principal officer, a town clerk, a council secretary, and you are failing to supervise your staff, you are failing to whip your staff in a manner that enhances performance, you are liable under this. And the disciplinary process can be invoked. So there you are, principal officers. If you fail to whip your troops to perform, this will be invoked on you. Meaning, gone are the days when a town clerk, a council secretary will come to the commission and say, Officer so-and-so is a non-performer, can you please transfer them? You will not find a good reception here. Because where do you want us to take that failure? Who is ready to receive a failure? For the past 1 year, we have been transferring people around. When you complain, this guy is ineffective, can you please transfer him from Winilunga, take him to Chipata? Is it in Chipata where they want failures? We have done that for the last 12 or so months. And it cannot continue. So if you are a principal officer, you are failing to whip your troops to perform, this will be invoked. So poor supervision is an offense here. Substandard performance, regardless of who you are, whether you are a boss, an officer, a director, substandard performance is an offense in this. And if you don't pull up your socks and perform adequately,
Thank you very much. You are still on the Lunch Cafe on Camnet TV. And now we are getting into the interview, main interview segment where we invite various leaders to come and discuss issues that are happening across the country. And today we are privileged to have the NAREP Deputy Secretary General, and this is Mr. Martin Mulenga, to discuss issues surrounding the political landscape of this particular country. Mr. Mulenga, thank you very much for making it to the Lunch Cafe. Welcome to this interview.
Thank you so very much. The pleasure is mine.
Firstly, before we started with this interview, we were showing a clip of the local government service chairperson, Axon Sejani, who was talking about the commission not entertaining non-performing local authorities as regards the utilization of the constituency development funds. And he went ahead to say that the commission has come up with a performance appraisal system to see how the CDF will be utilized. Okay. Your reaction as a party?
I think we are so grateful that this time around we've seen that this government, the new donor administration government, has made it made it sure that all the constituencies are able to receive funds. I would say we are getting into devolution, where power is gotten away from central government to places where it's needed the most. And by so doing, we've realized that now the CDF amount has gone up. And it going up, we need to be prudent in the way that we utilize these funds. And it's just on point to making sure that these funds are utilized in a prudent manner and channeled to areas where they're supposed to be channeled. And where the money is, obviously there's need to look into issues of how is the money being spent. What are we putting money into? And who are the people that are going to disperse this kind of money? How do they disperse it? What are the channels in which we need to follow through such that the money, once it goes out there, is going into the right channels? So we feel as the National Restoration Party NAREP that the commissioner is on point to making sure that there's prudence in the utilization of these funds. Because in the end, we saw how CDF money was being misappropriated, where we saw that people would say, okay, we're going to build this. You find that it's just maybe at foundation level. After a year or two, you realize that nothing happened and everything has stalled. So by coming up with such kind of initiative, we feel that that's the right way to go.
The communities in these constituencies, what is their role as regards the utilization of CDF? What can a member of the community, what can they do to ensure that there is prudence in the utilization of these monies?
First and foremost, we all know that in each constituency, there is a constituency office where a member of parliament needs to go and be able. On top of that, that constituency office is manned by people who are always there. Even when the member of parliament that, let's say, is in Lusaka with other responsibilities, there are people who are there to make sure that they are received and be given the necessary guidance on how this money can be spent, on how people can apply for whatever they need to use in that constituency. But further than that, we also have ward development committees. These ward development committees are directly involved in reaching out to the communities at smaller levels, meaning that they are able to speak to people, maybe they say in Kamanga at compound level, they know who is this one, who is what. Let's say if it's to do with education alone, the ward development committee will sit in that community and realize whose child is really in their need to get that sponsorship. So we are bringing power back to the people where it's needed the most. Unlike how it was where everything was being decided in Lusaka. And the people in Lusaka might not know what these people in their constituents might need at what level. But with this kind of devolution, with which is at play this time around, we are seeing now a lot of people getting involved in what is happening in their constituency. If let's say their need is a clinic, the ward development committee will propose through their leaders to say, here what we need is a clinic. How then do we throw this to the constituency? Then those committees will sit down and agree to say, yes, with the fund that we have available, we can channel this money into putting up a clinic. And we'll see that after 2-3 years from now, we'll see that this money will show a lot of benefits to Zambian people because this money is reaching out directly where it's needed the most.
Let's move on and let's talk about some things to do with democracy. Now, some opposition political parties are claiming that the New Dawn government is persecuting them. What do you make of that statement?
We're coming from an election where we saw a lot of ills that were happening in the previous regime. We saw how corruption was so endemic, and we saw how people were doing things that they needed to account for. We saw how people were flashing money to an extent that people would even put money, pamba ulabambo kocha. We saw how people were just doing things that needed to give answers to. Now, this government says, people that were doing certain ills, account for your deal, for whatever you're doing. Let's say you are a member of parliament for one term. We know how much is your gratuity, you know how much is your salary, then you end up having 17 houses, 20 houses. Explain to us how you will have acquired these things. And if you are called upon, it's an opportunity for you to exonerate yourself. That really, I was working like this, I used to have business, I used to do this, and this is how come I've acquired these properties. But see, those people that we are flashing money, throwing anyhow, today, they were telling us they were in business. Where has that business gone to today? We don't see them do business. We don't see them throw money. They were saying members of parliament and ministers are paid peanuts. That's what some of the ministers were used to say, to tell us. Now those that were saying members of parliament and ministers were being paid peanuts, we tell them to say, tell us how you acquired 20 houses. Then they say we're being persecuted. We saw how corruption was a thing that became a norm, to an extent that the financial intelligence units did give us their report. Former President Edgar Lungu at the airport reached an extent to say, this is witch hunting. Fit. But really, if they come a government that wants to account for resources, they want to tell these people to say, tell us, how did you account for that money? And you call that persecution? No, it's not. We are telling you to account for whatever that you have done. Now that they've even moved to certain things that I would say they are becoming irresponsible, we are calling on these our colleagues in the opposition, and all of us that are in politics, we need to be responsible in the way that we do things. Someone is alleged to have forged a letter, and you're called upon by the police. Why do you have to resist? Respond and go and explain yourself. Be taken to court. Answer to say, really, this letter is coming from so I'm not involved. You exonerate yourself. That's why the courts of law are there. But you see, they want to take political mileage out of all this. But I think the Zambian people have come to understand that really what was happening and what's happening now politically is not acceptable. We just have this one Zambia, and we call for responsibility from our colleagues that are in politics. Losing an election is not the end of the world. Especially our colleagues that were in power, most of them having lost the election, I think they've lost it to an extent that they stopped thinking. What they think about is, we need to come back in power. There's nothing about coming back to power. What's important is, how then do we provide the necessary checks and balances that our people in Kaputa be given clean water, necessary checks and balances that our people in Kasama are given the roads, they are given electricity. This is what should preoccupy their minds, and want to do things at the expense of politics. They are missing it.
What then do you make of the perception that the Zambia's democracy is being dented by police arresting politically exposed individuals?
Actually, it's about time these individuals take time in introspect to ask themselves, why are we finding ourselves in this situation? Because there's just a certain group of people from a certain political party that are crying foul, and we know them, and the Zambian people know them. Why are they behaving in the manner that they are behaving? What is it that is motivating them to do whatever they are doing? Today it's a forged letter. Today they ask you, where did you get your chopper? This money that Faith Musonda stole. You're the people that were with her, having stolen that money. You stand on the anthill to say, where is our stolen money? Really, even if it were not politics, morality demands that we are the ones that put this government in where it is today. They stole money that they were putting in their homes. This government retrieves the money. And the same who are the thieves stand on the anthill to say, where is the money that we have stolen? Let other people actually speak. Because morality demands that those that probably have clean hands should come out and ask to say, the 60 million, for instance, that was that we stole or was stolen, how did you utilize it? Now, because of politics, the same are the ones that would come out and start questioning without no morals. I think politics must change in the manner that we are doing them. We should, it's me who stole the money. It's our group that stole the money. Now this money that we stole, has been recovered. After being recovered, this man has been utilized in this way. You are the one on the anthill asking, where's the money? Where's the money? Is it your money, the money that you stole? And you even surrendered it? Let other people speak. But we understand that losing an election is not an easy thing. That's how come in developed countries, when you find yourself in a situation like this, you need counseling. People to maybe reason with you to say there is life after losing an election. And most of our colleagues have failed to move on. And they're just doing this, today is that. Today. I think the Zambian people do realize that this country was getting to being ruined. And that's the more reason we came out in our numbers to vote these our colleagues out. Imagine that was unthinkable. Now, even if just the losing itself, you ask yourself, our colleagues that lost that elections, margin of 1 million, and you get 1.6, 1.8 million, it means people are not even considering what they were. Just let's remove these that were, I would say, maybe criminals or people that were not involving themselves in things that the Zambian people did not want. So, if the advice that would give them, take time of introspection. Ask yourselves, why is it that we lost in the manner that we did? How then can we put ourselves together? Not trying to bring confusion. I think the law enforcement agencies will not allow lawlessness at the expense of politics. I think the law enforcement agencies are up to speed to making sure that all those that will be found wanting in the name of politics, the law is blind. They will need to be accountable.
We've seen the opposition political parties coming together and forming what looks like an alliance for the 2026 election. What is your take on this? And is it going to succeed given that others feel that the UPND alliance is a flop?
Actually, I must mention to our viewers out there that we taught them the way. Ourselves as National Resolution Party and many other political parties realize that political affiliations are not bigger than Zambia. Political affiliations are just but clubs. But more importantly, what is it that we need to do to provide the Zambian people with what they need? Education, health, and all those things that they need. That is what drove some of us as NAREP and other political parties to work together with our colleagues in the UPND to make sure that we do what was right. We became selfless and did what we thought was right, and we still believe we did the right thing. And we are moving in the right direction. But of course, having taught them the way, they think that they can equally maybe pick lessons. It's not a bad idea. They can go ahead for as long as it's for the betterment of Mother Zambia. And after all, politics is about competition. If they've got ideas with whoever that they are forming their groups with, well and good, come 2026, we'll participate. But for now, we feel that they are coming together just for convenience. Because now we've been left out, then how do we put ourselves together to come and do this? I think the Zambian people will be the ones to judge, to say what is it that is motivating them to coming together. But more importantly, like ourselves, what we thought was important was to make sure that there is free education, people are able to speak without having to be victimized by thugs, where we saw thugs took center stage to an extent that people were going to be attacked at the police station. Even police officers were not spared, being slapped. One of the biggest police stations, Central Police, we realized we can't go this direction. For the sake of putting order in this country, let's work together for this cause. I don't know their cause, but for now, we feel whatever they are trying to do, we wish them well.
How would you describe your alliance, your relationship with the UPND?
Our relationship with the UPND, as national, I would only speak for NAREP.
Sure.
We feel that we are doing what is right. What we fought for as NAREP and the UPND, where we had clear goals. Number one, we wanted order in this country. That has been restored. We wanted free education for our children. That is there. We wanted to see that the constituencies have money to be plowed in whatever needy areas they had. that is being done. We wanted an economy where there's less corruption. I'm careful about using the word corruption. Less corruption. And we've seen that there's political will to fight the vice. That is what motivated all of us. Our children in university be able to receive bursary. Our children in university be able to be given meal allowances. They were deprived of all those things. But this time around, we see those things being actualized. For us, we've got a very good starting point, and more things are yet to come. So for us as National Association Party, we think that we're in the right direction and more can be done.
What do you make of the recruitment of uniformed officers that was recently conducted?
Yeah, we feel